A long, long time ago, in a far, far away place called Blackistan, there were wars, and these conflicts were called the Blackistan Wars. And throughout these wars, there arose a man of royal lineage, and his name was BenjaminDeSouza. He brought forth a sword that will shine light in darkness, free the captive minds, and bring truth and justice. His eyes glimmered like ember. His skin was like fine burnished steel, and as he walked, behind him he left a glistening wake. This is the story of BenjaminDeSouza, the Prince and the Warlord. What's happening? BenjaminDeSouza here, the Prince, back with another classic. And I'm on I-55 South, down here in the Boot Heel of Missouri, the great state of Missouri, the show me state. On my way to Jonesboro, Arkansas. I'm like a stone's throw away from where my mother grew up, 870 stand up. But I just got off of Obsidian Media Network's Mixler panel. I believe the title of the show was Do Black Women Admire Intelligence in Black Men? Or something to that effect. And a brother by the name of Q hopped on, and it just so happened that he hopped on around the same time that I was hopping on, because it just so happened that at the time he was hopping on and I was hopping on, I was on lunch break. So I was like, let me get on here, talk my shit real quick. And I really didn't want to address him. There was some other things that were said during the course of the show that I wanted to get to. But he made several matter-of-fact type of statements and certain veiled statements in his colloquy that I felt needed immediate addressing. So I had to deal with that. So he said that, he comes with this not all, gotta be fair and balanced, black women are on fuckery, and also black men are on fuckery. And there's not just, domestic fuckery, but there's also international fuckery. Like all this splaining, nigga, you splaining. You too old to be splaining. God damn, can we call it like it is? Fuck. So he hopped on and he tried to qualify his assertions by giving an anecdotal example of international fuckery from a said international woman by saying that one of his 3 wives, let me repeat that, one of his 3 wives, so he's had 3 swings at the plate. So one of his 3 wives was Ghanaian, of West African descent. And that the relation, now he cast the aspersion that the relationship ended due to fuckery on her part. Now, Inspector Benjamin was on the job, so I inquired of him, what was the catalyst that brought about the disintegration of that marriage between you and this Ghanaian woman? And just like the chick that Obsidian showed in the earlier clip in that podcast, how the chick excused all of black woman's fuckery and cast all the responsibility at the feet of black men, Q then in turn cast all of the responsibility of the disintegration of his marriage at the feet of his mother-in-law. Well, you see, it was her mother whom I moved in, and she got in her daughter's ear and brought about the disintegration of our marriage. Now, you know, at this point, I got you. I got you. It's checkmate at this point. It's just a matter of time before you tip your piece. But you're checkmated at that point. Now, what I was trying to get to before he started interrupting me, and I mean vociferously and aggressively interrupting me, because he knew I had his ass dead to rights. I was about to nail his ass to the motherfucking cross. He thought he could just filibuster and shout me down to keep me from doing so. But what I was trying to get to and point out to him is that, sir, I am a man of mixed cultural ancestry. Now, the patriarchy is universal. It's worldwide. Different patriarchies may look every patriarchy looks different from one another, but there are some core tenets of said patriarchy that are universal. Number one, if the man is derelict in his responsibility as a patriarchal man, it falls upon, if the woman won't speak up and call that man to task or take action to make sure that said man gets on his patriarchal square, the responsibility then falls upon the mother, the father, the brother, the sister, and the extended family to step in and intervene, because they didn't do all this work to raise up a patriarchal woman just to hand her over to a matriarchal or an egalitarian man. They didn't do that. So the deal is, if I raise a patriarchal daughter, you must be a patriarchal man. And if you are not, we're gonna get some straightening. So what Q described in his anecdotal example of his marriage with his Ghanaian wife, his former Ghanaian wife, what I can deduce from what he told me, with my knowledge of patriarchy and foreign patriarchy at that, is that he was derelict in his masculinity. He was derelict in his duties as a patriarchal man. Therefore, the mother saw fit to step in and tug her daughter's coattail and say, listen, this man ain't he's not up to standard. Now, you still X amount of years old, you still got some attractiveness left. If you act now, you can get back there on the dating market and possibly attain a patriarchal man. But if you hit your wagon to this man, who is clearly not patriarchal, who is either matriarchal and egalitarian at best, you're going to have some long days of work ahead of you. Now, what I speculate, this is clearly speculative. I don't have any evidence, any hard evidence. So this is just all alleged. This is speculative, given the things that Q has said on panels before. Given the example that, he doesn't like for a chick to just be sitting at the house all day, not doing anything. He goes to the extreme, he paints an extreme example of the stay-at-home wife. Well, if you have a stay-at-home wife, she's gonna be sitting at the house and not doing anything at all, just painting her toenails, watching daytime television. He advocates and implores women who are in a relationship with a man to be out working, to be on some 50-50 shit. So what I speculate is that he was trying to massage his marriage with this Ghanaian woman to be something similar to that. Now, I can only speculate that up until he got married to her, he was carrying the most of the water, doing all the heavy lifting, making it appear as if he was a patriarchal man willing to be a patriarch. But then when the papers were signed, he took his foot off the gas and said, no, babe, you got to get your ass out there and work. Oh, yeah, and then on top of that, you're responsible for all the duties at the house. Not only do you have to go out there and work 40 hours a week and bring in half of the bacon, but you got to do all the, you are responsible for all the domestic responsibilities as well. She probably went to her mother, lamented to her mother about the situation that was going on within the marriage. Her mother then said, well, you know what? I'm going to make an excuse to come move in and live with you guys so I can get a closer examination on your guys' relationship. So she said, so her and her daughter concocted some story. Oh, I lost my house. I fell on bad times. Can I come live with you guys? You relent. Okay, cool. She comes live with you. Now she gets to watch you every day. She gets to watch. She has a close-up view of your comings and goings. Fellas, let me tell you this. This is a tactic that patriarchal women use when it pertains to their daughters, their nieces, and their sisters. When they come and they want to invade your house, whether they live with you for a short period of time or an extended period of time or regular visitations, they're scrutinizing you. It's not that they're invading your privacy. They just want to make sure that you are up to snuff. So be on the lookout. So be known. And this doesn't stop. So don't think that, oh shit, I got my Brazilian wife or I got my African wife. Her mother wants to come live with us for like 3 months. I best be on my best behavior. Then after she leaves, I can just go back to being derelict. No, it doesn't work like that. No, this is ongoing, sir. And if you are not who you say you are, or you are not who you portray yourself to her to be, they're going to be vicious with you. Because you were vicious with her daughter. You were vicious with their daughter. You made it seem as if you were a patriarchal man, and you were in fact not. And you took valuable, precious years and valuable, precious miles off of her vagina. So if they do divorce you and leave you, they're going to take their pound of flesh with them. So it is imperative, fellas, that you be on your shit. Or at the very least, you got the drive and you are at least working toward that. Preferably, it'd be best if you're already in that position. But at the very least, you better be on your way. And you better be working towards getting there. Now, as far as Q is concerned, I'll speculate that is the case. He was on some egalitarian, derelict bullshit. His wife complained to her mother. Her mother said, all right, let me go examine the shit. She moved in, lived with them for a while, examined the situation, and it turns out that what she concluded was that her daughter had married a derelict akata. Pardon the expression, but that's probably what she said. Why do you marry this derelict akata? We have a nice gentleman back in the village in Ghanaian for you, but you married this derelict akata. So yeah, so fellas, man, if you wanna start SYSBMing, getting your SYSBM on, do that, man. Do that. Don't be afraid, bruh. Don't be afraid. You do have to live up to the to the standard of a man. There is a standard. I know we in the black manosphere like to talk about the standards that these women should live up to. These women need to have these women need to live up to our standards. Well, sir, that's a sword that cuts both ways. Yes, within reason, said woman needs to live up to your standards. Also, within said reason, you need to live up to her standards. Ironically enough, here in Blackistan, we don't hold quote unquote our women to any standard whatsoever, while simultaneously they hold us to an astronomical standard, an unattainable standard. And even if we are so talented and so industrious and so intelligent and so ambitious enough to get within a stone's throw of this astronomical standard that they set for us, they're still gonna hit us over the head and kick us in the ass and tell us, nigga, you ain't shit. So I mean, at this point, there is no debate. There's no debate. And if you were there listening to the live exchange, just notice the times that he interrupted me and cut me off and didn't allow me to speak, and then want to say I'm being emotional. And then he called me a bitch. At that point, I wasn't even mad. I said, sir, you lost. You lost. You lost this whole year. Everything you said prior to you calling me a bitch is null and void. You're done. Stick a fork in you, sir. You're done. Well done. But yeah, that's all I got. Get up on that. And another thing, this is what I really don't like about the older generations. And this doesn't apply to everybody who's older than me and whatnot. But for the most part, the thing that I don't like is that they speak in such a matter-of-fact type of manner. And then, if you ask them a hard question so that they can qualify their statement, they get indignant. You know what I'm saying? Like, how dare you question me? I'm your elder. Like, no, nigga, no. You said some shit, and you're going to have to qualify that shit. That's how that goes. You know, I don't know what fucking time you grew up in, but that do as I say, not as I do shit, that shit don't fly no more. That shit do not fly anymore. So if you say something from a position of authority, or in such a matter-of-fact type of way, or in such an absolute way, like this is how it is, then you got to qualify that shit, man. Shout out to Kevin Samuels. Show your work. Show your work. It's real business, man. But yeah, though, that's all I got.